very welcome. Today I would like to express a few of my thoughts concerning the situation in Israel and Palestine. I am personally concerned because in the past 2 years I was able to make friends with Israelis and Palestinians, and the situation in the Middle East has become a deep issue of concern for me. But I'm not a politician. I'm a Buddhist teacher. I'm a teacher of meditation, and more so I'm a practitioner. And since my first context, my heart-mind was kind of dwelling on the issue and trying to find out what is really needed. And these thoughts I would like to share with you. So actually, I do see a possible way out. Of course, there would be a need for radical change. Not only that the war, the killing in Gaza has to stop now, immediately. Not only that the settlement occupation policy in the West Bank has to stop, and on the Golan heights. All of these things are very much in the media. I feel we, that is to say the Dharma practitioners on all sides, in all countries, we can help this process by taking a very clear stand in what allows for lasting peace. Because it is my conviction that if we treat each other fairly, on an equal level, like really on an eye-to-eye level, and if we give equal rights to everybody, if everybody can enjoy the same freedoms and has access to the same resources, then peace is easy. Then, of course, we have to deal with all the rest of aggressivity that might remain, with all the traumata and the post-traumatic experiences. But that's possible. You know, even the war in Ireland, Northern Ireland, has stopped, and there was a path of reconciliation. It's not impossible. What's necessary is that we, Dharma practitioners, on a Buddhist ground, that we start with what we know to be so true. So actually, what I want to say, our foundation is not killing, not harming. So only that can give the other person the security that I'm not going to be personally attacked. We need to not steal, not to take away land from those who live on it. This is stealing. This is, again, very clear. I have to be safe. I want to feel safe in my home. So, very important that we start from these basics. And this would also include, and this is very important, that the people, when they talk to each other, they say the truth. So that actually there's no lying going on. Because lies, they cover. They actually, the long-term effect of lying is that one does not see clearly anymore who is in front, but one feels there's a distrust. So there's a lot of work to do, because, as you well know, killing, taking away from others what is not given, knowingly saying what is not true, pretending one thing to be the case while another is actually happening. All of this is going on, and it's going on both sides. There is a lot of propaganda, and in my meeting with Israelis and Palestinians, I found lovely people. I found people really where a link of friendship is connecting us, and where the hearts can open, and where communication really happens from the heart. And I was very surprised that even on the Palestinian side, from people who have relatives who have lost their home, their villages, who have lost people, close relatives who have themselves had to take refuge somewhere, that there was a great openness for peace. And same on the Israeli side. So many who were self-critical enough and saying, yes, we don't agree with what is done in our name. So we are not behind this war. We are not behind occupying, taking, expanding this kind of, a policy of disrespect. So I guess, although there is very little voice in the parliament right now, in the Knesset I want to say, although there's very little voice in Israel, we need to strengthen those voices which actually are in favor of a true peace, which would mean that we start with complete acceptance. And this is possible. I will explain you how. So actually, on my visits to Israel, I was looking for, not only for the Dharma way to teach, to communicate meditation, to communicate sound mind training based in Buddhist principles, I was always having also a little look what could be a possible solution for this long-standing conflict. The conflict is so long you can't see where it began. There are so many claims, to this so-called Holy Land, which is the object of desire of 3 different religions. And actually, we cannot turn the wheel of history back. We cannot go back to before 48, when Israel was founded. We cannot go back 10 years even. We have to start now. So in this search for political alternatives, I was always looking, and I am still looking with this Buddhist eye. What makes sense from the Dharma point of view? And I was extremely happy, and I want to tell you my source, which made it clear for me what I was thinking all along, was very happy to meet one member of the Forum of Regional Thinking. Jewish-Israeli Forum of scientists, ethnologists, researchers into peace. And they presented a paper, The Present-Day Peacemaking Alternatives for Israeli Policy. The Present-Day Peacemaking Alternatives for Israeli Policy. And this was published only in February 2025. We will put the link for you into the video. And actually, this paper, written in Hebrew for the Jewish policymakers, takes such a good stand in this whole discussion of promoting a radical alternative to this policy, either of total annihilation of Palestinians or vice versa, the wish to see all Israelis leave, or Jewish leave. It provides an alternative to the policy of complete control, like occupying the territories, completely controlling all the movements so that there will be no danger. Actually, to live in peace is possible if right now one would have the courage to say, okay, we start on an eye-to-eye level where we can talk to each other, respect each other, and we acknowledge the right of existence of the Israeli state, we acknowledge the right to exist of the Palestinian people, whichever form they want to give themselves, and only when everyone has been given the equal rights, then one can start discussing what kind of political solution one will find. Whether it's a federation within one state, whether it is two states, whether it is this or that. Various possibilities are there. This cannot be dictated. A dictated peace will never be a lasting peace. And actually, a peace that should last will need this wonderful capacity to reflect, to admit one's faults, to admit also the faults and transgressions of one's predecessors, those responsible for terrorist acts, those responsible for ethnic cleansing and what the UN, according to its definition, would call a genocide. So we have all these issues to be looked at. We have to look at how the state was established as a post-colonial phenomenon, how all these feelings of guilt caused, for example, Germans to support always, quite blindly in recent times, the acts of the Israeli military. And so on. We have to look into this attitude of victim, of being a victim. Both sides, Palestinians feel victim, Israelis, Jewish Israelis feel victim, still victim of the Holocaust, now victim of all the aggressions from different nationalist Islamic groups. So all of this victim identification, which is used as an excuse, as a reason to retaliate and now to become a perpetrator. Now to actually do pretty much what one has suffered before. So I was very touched, and this is much more important, I was very touched that the people which I met on both sides, they were not in the mood of retaliation. They were actually in a deep search for resilience, for the capacity to withstand the impact of propaganda, to withstand the bad news, the news of new killings happening, new occupations happening, losses on this side, losses on that side, to withstand all this polarization and to always find back into the opening of their heart. So this is possible, the opening of one's heart is possible for larger groups of people if, on the other side, there are people who admit wrongdoings, even if they haven't done it themselves, wrongdoings of the people before them who were in power, people of their own ethnic group, of their own nation. So all of this, what I'm talking about, is a peacemaking process that will include much, much more than just stopping the war. Gaza has been almost destroyed now. There is very little which is left. Many places have been made impossible to live in, and still so many Palestinians resist the temptation to enter aggression. Now, we should understand what produces terrorism. There are causes for it, and terrorism ceases when the causes are gone, when there are equal rights, when there is a right to exist. Also, Israel needs to have the right to exist and not be endangered, like so many Arab countries have already acknowledged the right to exist. So we need this acknowledgement for the Palestinian population as well. Their right to exist and to live in safety. Equal rights for everybody. And actually, since the rift, the separation between the two sides is so big, it will need international support. It's very difficult to imagine that they could do it on their own. It will need all kinds of people from us, those probably who are listening. We are called to actually become in some way active, to cross the borders, to cross the rift, to connect. We don't have to bring people together. No, this is not our job. But to create understanding and to start taking a seat, how do you say? Yes, to sit in what we call Shila in the Buddhist terminology, which is wholesome conduct. To sit in this deep commitment to no killing, no stealing, no lying, protecting life, protecting freedom, protecting the right of having a home, of being secure, speaking the truth, speaking in a trustworthy way, speaking in a non-divisive way, not making people split and creating more and more splits as were the policies so far, but actually enhancing understanding. And so my way is not to take sides. My way is to be with both, as much as I can, as much as I'm invited to do, and to hold my ground in the basic Buddhist principles of the 10 wholesome actions. Now, some of them I listed already. There are the 3 of the body, the 4 of the speech, and the 3 of the mind. And the 3 of the mind are very, very important. One is not to enter malevolence. That means ill will, the wish to harm. This which includes the wish to retaliate and so on, to destroy. The second is to stay out of greed, of this wish to have what is actually what belongs to the other person. Not to take away what is the other's, but to rather give back what one has taken and to protect what is actually used by others or what is used by us all commonly. And the third one is an attitude of not holding on to limiting views. It's a form of, it's this part of ignorantly holding on to views that create separation and suffering again and again. And this is where dogmatism comes in. This is where the belief comes in that there is no one to make peace with on the other side, that no one can be trusted with on the other side. All these beliefs, it's all of the indoctrination that one has listened to in school or in one's religious upbringing, all these fixed ideas that finally solidify into an ethnic identity with certain beliefs where suddenly it becomes impossible to see the friend in front, to see that this person is actually not harming. Suddenly the soldier feels attacked by someone who is not even carrying a weapon. So all of these, these fixed ideas, these fixed views, these identities, they need to dissolve. And that's where the Buddhist community, the Dharma community can really help, that we help to take our seed in the non-violence, ahimsa, same principle that Gandhi lived for, to take our seed in equality of our human beings, in non-apartheid, like Nelson Mandela, for example, to take our seed in those basic principles of wholesome conduct. And only if we can hold that seed, if we are not pulled into saying, well, maybe a little war is good, maybe a little killing can serve a purpose, maybe, then we open the doors very, very wide for all kinds of excuses. And actually, to me it happened as well. I was thinking, well, what is good here? What is needed? What could help? And only when I finally really took my seat in this wholesome conduct, in this refreshing Shila, which calms down the emotions, then the path to peace became absolutely obvious. So not to kill is actually, for me, is not the outcome of an evolution towards peace, but it's the beginning. Not to lie is not an outcome, but it's the beginning. To be trustworthy, to be respectful, is the beginning. And we have to find those people which are trustworthy, which are honest, which are rooted in non-violence, and then we can cooperate. These people can cooperate, especially if we have self-criticism in a good way. You know, this sound way of seeing that I'm not perfect, that I'm also now that I'm not saying 100% what is the super duper idea about Israeli-Palestinian relationships. No, it's work in process. And I can always have a look at myself. Oh yes, here, maybe here, yes, I can see that this can be misunderstood. Or here I expressed myself in ways that could hurt. So, and this I would like to encourage all of us, so that the impossible becomes possible. I'm talking about a peace alternative which doesn't sound realistic to those who proclaim that only killing each other will help, but they are not right. Actually, they don't solve the problem. They just create more and more trauma, more and more aggression, and it's sure that the kids who grow up now, that they already live with the wish for revenge. They are brought up in fear. They are brought up in certain ways to look at the other group. And if we are to go for peace, then this has to change completely. The way we talk about each other, the way we live with each other, all of this has to change. And we can do it. We have to start. It has to start here with us, now, wherever we are. Let's not become pro-Palestinian. That's too easy. Let's not be just pro-Israeli. That's too easy. It's just taking a limited point of view. Try to feel all of the emotions that are active, all the fears, all the very just needs for respect, for existence, and so on. And then let's be very clear about where the wish for power, the wish for money, the wish for dominance, and so on has completely spoiled the picture. So this greed, So let's be very clear. Let's point it out, but with a soft touch. I understand that one can have this attitude, but I do not support it the least bit. So this is a possible way, and this is already the end of my little video here. Just wanted to share this as a basis for further communication, developing further aspects of sharing the Dharma in the future from this basis of being seated in that which is truly wholesome, and not lacking a political vision, because we need a vision. To live a better future, we need to have a vision, an idea of how it could be. That will give us the strength to work towards it. So this was my idea. It is possible. Arabs and Israelis can live peacefully in the same area. They have done so in the past. They could do it now, but it needs a lot, because a lot of harm has been done. And all of this has to be worked through. Or for all of this, one has to find the open heart and so on. It's a long process, but yes, I can see a future where can one travel freely from Tel Aviv to Ramallah to Damascus to Beirut to name it, and you have it, free traveling in all areas and feeling safe. It's possible. People can understand each other, because in all of us there is this wish to live in peace. And it's only a few who misuse this in a direction and then influence many others. This is not the wish of the people. So let's stand with those who do not want to see their sons and even daughters go to war. So let's stand at the side of those who really want peace. And this will not be helped by siding. Of course, right now, very clear, we have an unequal war to stop. It's not even a war, it's the annihilation of a land that was given to the Palestinian refugees in 1948, which was occupied and reoccupied and given again, and we need to stand up to the promises that were made concerning the West Bank. All of that is needed, and we need to change radically the course of action, and countries from the outside can help a lot in this. Because yes, inside the country it feels pretty stuck, but also there are forces which simply wait to be heard. Like these 150 scientists and researchers who came together to write this paper based on long years of research. So this gives the concrete idea, and we will post the link. Thank you very much for your attention. For me, it's not going to be so much a political journey, but rather a journey of sharing the Dharma. That means this practice of opening the heart, opening the mind with those who like. Thank you for listening.